Unity is a game engine that a lot of game developers use, a lot of web3 game developers use, including a number of Algorand games. They just announced a destructive new fee structure that is causing all kinds of chaos in the web3 space and the web2 space all over. Game developers are really, really ticked. Why are they ticked? Basically, it's a new fee structure that not only charges on the front, they already charge on the front end for using the engine, but now they're charging an install fee on top of that. We're going to show what that install fee looks like and also why it's such a problem for Web3 games and just for gaming in general. Just as an example, I know Fractal Monsters uses it. Ager Tactics does not. I believe Alchemon and I believe Cosmic Champs also use Unity. I reached out to a number of them. I heard from Fractal, so we're going to include some comments from the developer behind Fractal Monsters. I also spoke extensively with Ager Tactics, Jim from Ager Tactics, so we talked a lot about that. Gave me a lot of background, kind of his thoughts on it. It's very helpful, so I appreciate that. Also, big shout out to Catlin Guzman. She was very helpful in passing this tip around in the first place. I want to start off with a video from Penguinz0. So we're gonna start by showing that. So just give me a second. Just give me a second to cue it up here. So it's like the third ad it added. We're not going to watch the whole thing. We're just going to watch a very short portion of it.
Unity a few days ago, just as a tiny little blurb, basically a cameo appearance in a Marvel movie. I just kind of went over like the very basics of everything going wrong with Unity. But things have only gotten worse since then, so I just want to make a whole video here going over the entire situation and kind of dancing on Unity's grave, because they did it to themselves. Now, of course, they're not actually dead yet, but they are doing everything in their power to put themselves in the dirt. They are bent on self-destruction and nothing will stop them. It's like a scene out of 24, with Jack Bauer interrogating a terrorist and they're doing everything they can to take the cyanide pill to end it all. That's Unity as a business right now. So a channel called Upper Echelon just released an incredible video going over all of the new information about this situation, so I'm going to show you some clips of that, as well as just give you the broader stuff as well, just in case you're unfamiliar with all of it. This is going to be an all-encompassing biblical smackdown of everything Unity related.
Unity Technologies, a video game software company responsible for making the Unity game engine, has recently adjusted their fee structure. On top of a flat subscription service, they will now charge game developers per install with retroactive terms of service changes, and that monetization scheme will have a severe negative impact on a great deal of projects.
In a nutshell, that's where all of this disaster stems from. He has just given you the macaroni, so allow me to give you the cheese. Unity made a big announcement about a change to their monetization model where if you reach a certain level of success with their product, they will then start dipping their greedy, grubby little paws into your pockets and take a little piece for themselves out. So, if you're using Unity Personal and Unity Plus, you're eligible for this fee once you reach 200K in revenue over the last 12 months and have 200K lifetime installs. And that number increases to 1 million in 12 months and 1 million installs when you're using Pro or Enterprise.
Okay, so I talked about how Unity is ruined. Basically, anything over 200,000 downloads, you're going to get this fee. This fee is going to be instituted, and it's going to bankrupt a lot of companies, especially into the free-to-play model. I spoke to Dev Fracas at Fractal Monsters. They were talking about how they're at about 20,000 downloads, so they're actually going to be okay for now, but they're growing, so a lot of companies are worried about that. Cosmic Champs, I believe, uses it, as does Alchemon. And boy, that really threw me off. So there's a lot of concern here. I'm going to show you. Let's go back to the game studios. There's an entire account made just for being angry at Unity, which is not really that much of a surprise, but it's at 7,400 followers. And they list some of the alternatives to Unity, including the Godot engine, the Unreal engine. Unreal engine is the one that powers Ager Tactics. Godot is the one that Townstar switched to. They were on actually, I forget what engine it was. It's not listed here. It's a different one. But they switched recently to the Godot engine because it has more utility. So they won't be affected, but I believe Alchemon is on it, Cosmic Champs, I believe, and then I know for sure Fractal Monsters is on Unity. And Unity is a pretty common engine for a lot of game developers now. There also was let me show you this again. Unity disappointed. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. This is Spawn Point. They said, we are a small indie team working on our first commercial game. Let me pop that out. We are a small indie team working on our first commercial game set to release soon, and we are now very worried about our future. Our hope was that the sale of our first game would be able to fund the next one, but now, with how unpredictable your new runtime fee is designed, our hopes for the future are at an all-time low. We are aware that this game might never reach the threshold, but what about the next one? So they're wondering how they can invest years of their lives on an engine that rewards success with unpredictable fees that possibly take every penny from us. I mean, this is what game developers are worried about. But this is my favorite because it rhymes. Unity messed up so terribly bad, and now the developers are rightfully mad. Counting installs? You know that's not right. How do you count? Won't you please shed some light? I love this. I love that they put this in a rhyme. This is fantastic. They just end with like, we like what you make, but it's not a must. Adios, sayonara. That's the thing you can trust. So I reached out to a number of developers. I reached out to Cosmic Champs, but I didn't hear from them, which I was a little surprised about. I got a lot of help from, maybe I really did have viewers because now I have one. I got a lot of help from Jim at Aegir Tactics, so I appreciate that. Now their game is on the Unreal Engine, so they're not affected by this, but I think everyone's kind of paying attention to it. And he helped me out with a lot of background info. And Dev Fracas from Fractal Monsters told me basically this is a huge disappointment for them and for a lot of game developers. They're pretty worried about it. Right now they're at about 20,000 downloads, so it won't impact them yet, but as they grow, they might reach that 200,000 threshold, which is very scary. Now this is, let's go back to this. So Unity, they did release yesterday evening, they did release a sort of an apology, kind of walking back their statement a little bit. They said, we have heard you. We apologize for the confusion and angst the runtime fee policy we announced on Tuesday caused. We are listening, talking to our team members, community, customers, and partners, and we'll be making changes to the policy. We will share an update in a couple of days. Thank you for your honest and critical feedback. And this is where the frog of shame comes in, because he says, if the frog of shame gets more likes than your original tweet, then your tweet really sucks. And did it? 16 and 31. Yes, it did. He says, I will keep posting the frog of shame until you reverse this policy. Bill Corner said, we have heard you. We have not listened to you. Here's a bunch of marketing talk to make you think we're doing something, when in actuality, we're just figuring out how to keep doing what we've already decided to do. Thanks for your honest and critical feedback. What? Seriously? And RG says, we already know they're going to rewrite everything in a way that means the exact same thing. Once a company makes a move like this, they typically don't learn or try to do what is right by their user base. Yeah, so this could cause a lot of trouble in the Web3 space for game developers. It's probably not going to affect a lot in the Algorand ecosystem or HBAR, just because there's so much. A lot of these games have pretty low user bases. Like Fractal Monsters is probably the most popular right now, and it's at 20,000. So I got to think they're still going to be safe for a little while. But as you grow, you worry about that, and I think this will really affect games that are built on bigger platforms with more user base. But this will have a huge impact on Web3 games and gaming in general. Unless they seriously walk that back, we'll be keeping an eye on to see what they do with that.